So this is it. This is my last week in Paris, and I'm actually pretty content with the photos I've been able to create and the experiences I've been able to have during my stay here. I'm not sure what kind of misconceptions were put in my mind about Paris, but before coming here, I was thinking it was all going to be this clean and pristine city. Western media definitely romanticizes Paris, and while I have seen areas that kind of live up to the stereotype of what you would expect, there's definitely a lot more of the rundown, big city aura and character to the streets, which I love. What some people might find as grimy and unappealing, I actually find quite beautiful. There's more of a story in an environment like this, where you can literally see the walls falling apart. It's how the city shows its age. After my time in Lisbon and Morocco, I feel like my eye for textures and details of the environment like this have sort of enhanced to some level. So while I've been here in Paris, I can't help but notice all of the distressed posters and interesting shapes and patterns that are just naturally created over time. Sometimes it's almost too perfect, like an artist ripped it apart with purpose. Either way, I've been collecting a lot of photos of various textures while I've been here. Maybe this all leads to something bigger down the road. We'll see. I feel like some people wouldn't consider this street photography, but I really don't care at this point about that term, street photography. The more I think about that label, the more I feel like it's not exactly who or what I want to be, or what I want to be known for. I know it's just a general term for what I do, and maybe it makes sense on a business standpoint to describe myself as a street photographer, but I want to be a photographer. Just be known as an artist, visual artist, someone who photographs whatever, wherever. You can label it whatever you want, but to me it's just photography at the end of the day.
So, not sure how to explain this A-roll setup, but when you work in such a small space, you kind of run out of ideas of how to frame up a shot, so enjoy me sitting on my stove. So my plan for today is to head on over to the 5th arrondissement, and I went there briefly last week, and actually liked that area a lot. I figured I'd bring the GoPro, film a little POV segment there, and see what kind of photos I can make. It's unfortunately pretty gray out, so just haven't been really lucky on this trip in terms of sunlight. Just a lot of rainy, cloudy days, but it's spring, so we're gonna head on over there, and if it turns out to be all right, we'll stay in that area. If not, we can always head back to the other side of the river near where I'm staying, which seems like just endless amount of photo opportunities here. But yeah, let's head on over to the 5th.
I want to take a moment to talk about something my dad and I have been working on for quite some time. It's a new series of digital and physical zines of my recent travels called Street Journals. So far there are 4 volumes, one from Istanbul, Lisbon, London, and Morocco. Rather than just putting a bunch of my photos together and calling it a day, I wanted to make these a way for me to share more of my thoughts on travel and street photography. So in all of the journals, you'll find some articles as well as these really cool maps that my dad made. He was a big part of the creation process of these journals, so definitely give him a shout out in the comments. It will be available as a digital download from my store, but I've also uploaded them to Blurb, so you can order a physical copy directly from their website. I'll have links to both in the description of the video. I really appreciate any of you who choose to support me and buy one of these. And if you do, please leave any feedback. It was a huge learning process in making these, and hopefully this is the first step in working towards something bigger down the road. Maybe something like a physical hardcover book. We'll see.
So since this is my last week here in Paris, I figured now's a pretty good time to sort of recap my experience here in terms of photography. I think Paris is a destination a lot of photographers, they have this city on their list to visit and to photograph. So I figured, I'd share my own insight into my month-long stay here in Paris. I stayed here for a month, and for most people that's not very realistic. I have the privilege to be here for this long because of what I do, and I don't take this for granted, and I realize not a lot of people can do trips for this long. But there are some people that you work remote jobs and you're not necessarily tied down to a place. I think a 2-week trip is more realistic for people, and you'll have days to chill and to relax and enjoy the Parisian lifestyle of just finding the nearest cafe, having a drink, some food there. You might be here to do street photography every day, but you're gonna definitely want days to just chill and relax like that. When it comes to finding the right area in Paris to stay, I would say anywhere in the central bit. Actually, the area that I'm staying in, the 3rd arrondissement, is a really good area to stay in my opinion. I'll be honest, I did no research going into this, and I just, I looked at the map and I was like, okay, that looks pretty central to me. There's an Airbnb that works, let's do it. I lucked out because a lot of my food recommendations and just things to see was like all in walking distance. So I can definitely recommend staying in the 3rd. It's not as touristy as near the Louvre or the Notre Dame, and you're gonna have some of the best restaurants and coffee shops all around this area. And not only that, it's a really good area for street photography. Now in this video, I featured a bit of the 5th and the 6th, and it's a much different vibe from where I'm staying. I think it's a lot more local, a lot less tourists, and they made for much better subjects than tourists because, I don't know, man, people here dress really good, just having a bit of a quarter-life fashion crisis. Now, when it comes to the general attitude of people towards photographers or street photographers, I think it's a bit mixed. I think it helps that you're in such a touristy city that you just come across as another foreigner when you have a camera. So you sort of blend in, I would say. Since I like to photograph reflections, I'm constantly up against like the windows of businesses, and to most people it looks like I'm trying to see what's inside. I'm trying to photograph what's on the other side of the window, when really I'm not. I'm photographing a reflection of the street. So I've had a few moments where the business owners would walk out and ask me what I was doing, what I was photographing. And, I'd tell them, I was photographing the reflection. And it was all cool after that. I think they just figured I was just another clueless tourist. And yeah, they're just like, okay, idiot. So, just keep it honest with people. And, I don't think you'll have too much trouble photographing here. Like any city in the world, you want to approach photographing a new place as a foreigner with a bit of sensitivity, with respect to the local people and their home. There's nothing worse than that obnoxious traveler or photographer who just gets into people's faces and stirs up trouble. That just builds a negative attitude towards future travelers and photographers. So those are my current thoughts right now on my experience in Paris. It was a great time here, and I already know that I want to come back. So I think that alone answers what I think of Paris as a city. There's so much more I could definitely talk about, but to keep this video short and sweet, I'm going to end it there. If you have any questions for me about my time here, please leave them in the comments. I'll try my best to get it to as many of you as I can. With that said though, I hope you enjoyed this video and the others that I made here. I have so many unshared photos and photos I haven't even looked at yet that I need to catch up on. So I'm gonna do that after I finish recording this. Last but not least, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for creators like you and I to create a professional-looking website that shows off our favorite works. They have easy-to-use templates to get you started, or you could build your site entirely from scratch. Squarespace has been a pivotal part of my own business for the last 6 years, and I highly recommend it for anyone looking for a better way to display their work. You can try them out for free by visiting squarespace.com/Faisal, and make sure to use the code Faisal. That will give you 10% off your first purchase.